Well, hey, D Group, my name is Rory Yates. I get the chance, along with Amy Scrivanis, to be the pastors for Fellowship's young adult community. And I'm excited about together moving into maybe a novel way or a new way, at least for us, of encountering God through His Word. And in fact, that's really the point, the purpose of this scripture project that we're in the middle of. Through experience, learning to encounter God in relationship, through personal time with the scriptures daily, through His preaching, and together as a community, as a D group like we're going to experience tonight. And at the foundation of this scripture project is the belief in what the Bible claims about itself. That the Bible claims to be the primary way that God lives in active, living relationship with us as His people. And so we want to learn as a community how that should shape the way that we encounter the Scriptures, how we should approach the Scriptures, expecting first and foremost of all, relationship. And we're familiar with relationships, right? We have them all day long, all the time. And if you think about the way that relationships work, they work through us listening to somebody else, understanding what they're saying about themselves or about the situation, and then in that understanding, then we're personally impacted by that. And then out of that impact, then we speak, we respond back to them. And they keep going. That's relationship. That's the same way that it works with God who is alive through the Scriptures. And that's what we're going to do tonight. Tonight, expecting a relationship with God through His Word, we are going to listen, and in listening, seeking to understand, be impacted, and then together respond. We're going to the Scriptures tonight looking first for relationship. We're going to listen. And we're not going to listen for more information. We're not listening for a new life hack. We're not even going to try to listen to get our spiritual tanks filled up so that we can, move into our week. No, we just want to simply listen for the voice of God. And as we listen together, as God through His Word then reveals Himself, we understand, are impacted, then we're going to spend time together in response, in prayer. But we're going to listen to God. And to be able to listen correctly, to really understand what it is that God is saying to us, we've got to understand the context of the original writing of what God is saying in His Word. God used the author of this book, Luke, to write specific things to a specific audience, and in that meaning that God is using Luke to put out, we will then hear His voice. Well, to really listen well to Luke, to really put ourselves in the shoes of that first century audience, in a way, we've got to kind of forget everything we know about Jesus. See, those people 2,000 years ago were hearing Luke for the first time with an incredible sense of anticipation. They had this anticipation because they had been waiting for the fulfillment of a promise for literally thousands of years. See, one of the first things we're going to hear in what Luke has written is that he's writing this book to give an account of what has been accomplished, what has been fulfilled in history, and to really write it down. And what had been accomplished, what had been fulfilled, what was the satisfaction of promises that God had been making to people for millennia. And God's people, specifically the nation of Israel, had been waiting for something. They've been waiting actually for someone. They've been waiting for a Messiah, a rescuer, a king. And this king that people were waiting for was the hope of the whole world. This king was going to come and reign over the whole earth and make the whole earth his people. And this king, in reigning over his people, would renew all of mankind by connecting them back to God, renewing them in that relationship to love God and to love one another. He would be so powerful, and his reign would be so transformative that in his reign, this king, God promised, was going to renew the very creation itself. so that the desolate places, the dangerous places in creation, even disease, was going to be done away with. That because of this king that God had promised, this man that was going to come, this Messiah, all of the earth then would be filled with the praise and the worship and the glory of God. That's the man that people were waiting for 2,000 years ago. That's the king, the Messiah they were anticipating. And what Luke is claiming in this letter is that Jesus is that man. That Jesus is the fulfillment of this king that will reign over the earth, that will renew mankind, that will rescue and redeem even creation itself. So as we listen for the voice of God in the book of Luke, can we put ourselves in that position of anticipation, forgetting the familiar, kind of weaker versions of Jesus that a lot of us have been exposed to, and really listen, looking for the promised coming king that Luke, in his account, says has come and is now working. I'm excited to listen to God together in the book of Luke.